Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here as always. Today, I'm so excited. It's the second interview with Nicolas David Ngan. If you haven't seen our first interview, please go and watch it because it was fantastic. But today, we're going to talk about his book called Your Soul Contract Decoded. And it's about numerology and how we really need to be utilizing our names because that's where our power is. And so I want Nicolas, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again,
Alisa. Here. Yes.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. So, what Nicolas is going to do today is he's going to run us through a little bit of a background in case you haven't seen the other video of how he arrived at doing this amazing work. And then he's going to tell us more about the book, and he's going to do a soul contract reading for me. So it's going to be very exciting. Nicolas David, let's get started since we have a lot to cover.
We do. Where would you like to start?
So let's start with just a really quick background, just, not too much. They can go watch the other video to get all of the background, but really, how was it that you got started into this information that is so critical for people to know?
Well, I left New Zealand in my mid-20s and I was traveling around the world and searching for my real purpose. And I ended up in a workshop called the Carousel of Growth in Phoenix, Arizona in 1990. I met Frank Alper, who is the founder of the soul contract reading work. The other name is the Spiritual Numerology of Moses. And during that week-long workshop, I wanted to have a personal reading with him. So we took out a Star of David, and he asked me for my birth certificate name, and he put it at the top. He converted it to the equivalent Hebrew letters and sounds, and Hebrew numbers dropped out of that name, and he basically allocated them on that Star of David, did some brief calculations, which we'll talk about later, and he explained my entire life in that hour, and I was sort of gobsmacked, thinking, how can you know all this just from my name? And he put all the disparate experiences in my life into perspective, because at that stage at 30 my life was very chaotic. I had no idea what was going on. I was searching for a lot of answers. I was still waking up, and that completely changed my life. And my drive 32 years on is still the same. I wanted to share that with people, because if he can do that for me and change my life so radically, I'd like to share it with others. And I brought it to England, so I was on my way here. And that's how the whole thing started, really. And so I started learning how it worked and giving readings to people while I was still doing my job in the corporate world. And yeah, it just started out of just a passion and interest. And then it turned into, I started teaching people how to do this work. And I left my corporate job because it was time to do my real work, which is helping people awaken, really, and find their true purpose, which is what the soul contract reading work does.
Yes, and let me tell you, finding people's life purpose, that is the number one question that people would come to me for sessions, is for that reason. I've stopped doing sessions, just for your information. I'm done with that. But when people would come do the sessions, they would that would be their first question. So I'm very excited that we're going to be able to help many with this. So tell me about the book then. Tell me all about the book.
Well, in 1998, I left the corporate job, and I established the Centre for Conscious Ascension in England, and I was just giving one-on-one sessions in soul contract reading and healing, and starting to run trainings in the soul contract reading work. And then it got to a point where in 2011, my guidance team, my guide said to me, it's time to write the book. And I said, well, what book? And I said, you need to write the book on soul contract reading, because Frank had been writing the book, but he never finished it. And it turned out he was one of the guides helping me with it. speaking to me in a Brooklyn accent. And so I said, well, I don't know how to write a book. And they said, we'll teach you. So they basically guided me on what I needed to do. And I got to meet all the right people to help me construct the book into the raw structure of how to put it together. It was Nick Williams, who's a well-known spiritual author here in England. I went to in one of his workshops. I listened to one of his workshops because I couldn't make it because I had to look after my son that evening. I think it was. I had him that evening. And then he introduced me to my publishing consultant, who was Julie McCutcheon. And then she introduced me to Watkins Publishing. And that's how it came about. All the doors sort of opened because it was time. It was divine timing. And I'd just barely been making a living. And then suddenly my life was starting to change. I was spending a couple of hours every morning writing the book based upon the structure that Nick had put in place. And Julia had helped me enormously in structuring the book to make sure it told a good story. And I sent the manuscript off to Watkins, to Michael Mann, who was the head of it and owner of it at the time. And he rang me 3 days later and said, okay, we're going to publish this, which is unheard of. Publishing normally takes months. But he rang me probably as soon as he opened it and read it, because it probably took 3 days for the manuscript to get to them, or the book proposal, as they call it, or the outline of what it was about. And then I spent, how long did that take? It took 18 months in total to write the book.
Wow.
In terms of production, writing it and editing it, and then producing it. So then it was launched in, I think, March or April 2013. A couple of years later, 18 months later or so, we actually got it out the door. And then it became a bestseller on Amazon on both sides of the Atlantic very quickly, because I wrote the book that I would have liked to have had when I was 20, like the Lightworker's Manual to how do you use this avatar, how do you operate on Earth, what's going on. So I wrote that in terms of all the structure I would have liked.
Yeah, so tell us what's in it. What's in the book?
Well, we talk a lot about ascension, the raising of consciousness on Earth, why we come here, to learn, to grow, to feel separate from God, from Source, and then to awaken, and then to make our journey back in consciousness to Source, God, through the process of life. And then we explain how the soul contract is formed from the sounds of your birth name. The soul chooses it based on all your past lives and what you've been through previously. And the idea there is to take the next incremental step in growth that's going to increase the amount of unconditional love in the soul. So it's a manageable but still challenging step. And being in a body means that we can actually viscerally experience all the things our soul wants to go through. And normally it's going from, say, for example, in my case, massive disempowerment as a child to coming into my power, and from being very shy as a child to feeling worthy to teach and express. So it explains why our lives are the way they are, that there's no mistake, no accident. We all feel our life should have been something else, but actually the life we get is the perfect life. And if we can engage with it and understand why it's happening. And the reason it happens initially, it's quite challenging, is that we have all our karmic issues, all our lessons from past lives in our face. And most people turn away and try and avoid that. But the point of it is to get us clear what we do want in life. Like I was feeling very disempowered as a child. So that's what I'd chosen. So if I wanted to become empowered. And if I hadn't had that disempowerment, I wouldn't have gone in the opposite direction looking for empowerment. So our greatest lessons are in our karma, which is the last place most people will think it's going to be. And our greatest gifts come out of that. And how our soul contract works, because there's physical and spiritual parts of our lives. We have karmic, physical and spiritual karma, but we also have talents, which are latent, both physically and spiritually, which are activated when our karma triggers. And the idea of the karma is to help us work through the key lessons of our life. And as we do that, we turn them into gifts and we deliver them to the world. Okay? And so the book is all about all that philosophy and theory of why it is the way it is, but then it gets on to what do you do about it? How do you take your name and decode your soul contract and work out specifically what your karma is, what your talents are, and also your goals, both physically and spiritually. What's creating your reality in each moment? Because by the law of attraction, the energy flows from our bodies and our energy fields, our DNA, and a substance called karmic matrix, which is multidimensional, that contains our soul contract. It radiates out to the reality, and the matrix rearranges around it. It explains all that you're creating your own reality. Nothing is being done to you, even though it may feel like that.
And I repeat that every day, Nicolas David, every day on my channel.
I'm 100% responsible for that mess happening just over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Damn, it's happened again. So, yeah. And then we talk about the soul destiny, the life purpose, which we all look for. I was looking for it when I was a teenager because no one could tell me. School, parents, university, working in the corporate world told me nothing. I'm thinking, these guys can't tell me anything that I need to know. Where is it? And I wasn't aware that I needed to be on a journey at that stage. And so what happens is that the book takes you through how to calculate these 7 aspects, especially your soul destiny, your life purpose, and it explains what you can do about it. Gives you very specific lists of recommendations, and you can draw from those to work through the issues that are in your chart, wherever you are. So basically, it's a manual for your life. So you can actually make it happen the way it's meant to happen, not be stuck in the karma. Most people stay stuck in their karma for a long time because it's very intense down here. We come down here for the intensity because I'll learn so much more, even though most of us are thinking, giving a break. Okay, but that's how we learn, by being in our earthly fleshy avatars. That intensity of being in the body is much faster learning than when we're in the astral plane or higher.
Absolutely.
So believe it or not, there's a queue to get into a body down here, although most of us feel, I wish we'd stayed at the back of the queue, or hadn't put our hand up on a bad day, thinking this was a very bad idea.
Well, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, so we got in, we were chosen to come in. So but souls want to grow, so this is why there's a big queue and not enough bodies to go around. So basically the book gives you a spiritual map of life, so you can find out where you are on that map and how you can navigate that. Okay, and when we align and navigate with the different aspects, 7 aspects in our chart, we flow with what's called the spiritual signature, what feels right, because we know, at last I have a map of what's going on. Life opens and flows much better, much more easily, rather than our ego taking over, trying to be in avoidance of our karmic issues, because that's when life gets really challenging and hard. That's why spiritual people look younger when they work on themselves emotionally, because all the heavy karma, they dissolve it through conscious work, conscious healing. This gives very specific guidelines on which way to head, what's important, what's not. Otherwise, we're going around with the lights off on the car, driving at night, but it switches the lights on, and it puts on a spiritual sat nav. It says, we're going over here. And because we know in our hearts when we have our reading that's very true, we can relax. We have the confidence, this is the right way. So because we have confidence, we put a lot more drive into it. There's a lot less doubt, or none at all, of what's meant to happen here. So basically it's a way of flowing much more gracefully with life. Doesn't mean there's not going to be any challenges, but the main thing is at least you're going in the right direction with the lights on. So that's what the book basically does.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a lot easier to manage the when things are coming at you, and you have the book that has given you clarity. Life is a lot easier.
Well, that's my spiritual karmic 10-1, for example. We're using 22 different numbers here. So I've manifested another abusive boyfriend, just like my father. Okay, so now I know
Exactly.
about it. And now I know I need to walk away because it's not going to get any better. I have to go and do some more work on whatever trauma I had with my dad or mother, in my case. And so at least we know what's going on. We're conscious and we can go do something about it and change it so we don't have to go through the same old pattern again.
Exactly.
Spiritual Groundhog Day. So
It is. It is, and I see those patterns all the time with people that come to see me. You know, people that have had abusive parents, abusive, fathers. The women end up with abusive boyfriends, and it's like, why is this happening to me? And it's like, it's all you know. It's all you know. It's what you as a child you think that's normal, but you got to love yourself enough to get out of that situation, and it's going to repeat until you stand up for yourself.
Yeah. I was talking to someone a few hours ago, and she had that very situation. But then she stepped back and realized what was really going on. And she got conscious of it. And now the partner she has is completely different to all the other abusive and neglectful ones in the past. Because she just went snap, it was a big revelation, and then she did some work on it.
Yeah.
And realized it's just a program. Because we all believe that what's going on is really real and visceral. I have to engage, I have to fight. But actually, it's just a program.
Exactly.
That's quite hard to understand. It's not ultimately real. It's just a learning process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for the experience. We are projecting this in our reality for our experience, for our growth.
Yeah. And it can be challenging, but it's actually what we need to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, that sounds amazing. I will definitely be getting this book to read it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So, okay. So tell me more about how has this work evolved since you first started and you learned it from your mentor?
Yeah, enormous. It's evolved enormously since Frank taught it to me and 30 others. He just gave us 12 pages of broad descriptions of the numbers and talked about it on and off for a whole week amongst the overall healing workshop. And so I took a lot of notes and I evolved it into its current form, but in conjunction with our mirror, Ariel Haller, who used to run the Center for Conscious Ascension with me. And we used to be married as well, but we spent 10 years expanding this based upon all our giving readings to lots of thousands of people. So that's what's in the book. It grew into a lot more material, it's a 300 or 400 page book now, and it's a which is based on a training manual for level 1 of this training, of a practitioner training. People want to learn how to do this work.
Yeah.
So it evolved gradually, and every couple of months we'd sit down and saying, okay, let's go through all the numbers. What have we learned? And so we write some more information. What have we learned? What it means, and what have we learned in terms of recommendation? What can we do about this stuff to help people?
Mm-hmm.
So it grew, and it just gradually grew to its current form. So 12 pages to like a 100-page manual now.
Wow.
Which then got converted to a book. Well, the core of it did, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still evolving. We're still learning new things. Even 32 years on, I'm still learning new things about it. So it's a very expansive system, and it's based upon the 22 ancient Hebrew letters, which come out of the movement of Great Spirit and God, in the spiritual sense, as it created creation. So it's based on the pure sounds of God. That's why the truth that comes out is so high frequency. We've done our best to preserve the knowledge in the way Frank transmitted it, but made it more grounded in the languaging of it. It was very esoteric when it came to me. So to make it more accessible to people, but the core frequency is being maintained. All the components of what he taught have been left in there, but refined and expanded, so that people get the purest possible transmission. And we find that people who really want to get drawn to it want the absolute truth and structure of how their life works and how those around them work. And they're the ones who are drawn to have readings and learn to be practitioners.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So in the book, are you able to decipher what your name is, or you need a reading for that?
Oh, you can, yeah. Yeah, you can find the book at yoursoulcontractdecoded.com. It tells you where you can buy it all around the world. But we developed some web-based software, which you can find at soulcontractreader.com. And that gives you 4 free charts. You can enter your name in there, and it generates 4 free charts using the Star of David, and you can download a PDF, and then you can take it and go through the book and figure out your entire life. So it's all there.
Wow.
Going on, and hopefully have a life-changing moment.
Right? That's what it's all about. Okay, so let me write that down. So your
soulcontractdecoded.com.
soul contract.
It's on my on my website. It's pretty old now, but we're updating it. That's where to find out more about the book and where to get it. And soulcontractreader.com.
Okay, there it is.
Software.
Soulcontractreader.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, very good. Very good. Exciting. Okay, so did you want to tell us anything else about the book before we move on to the reading?
I think that's a sort of summary of it, really. There's a lot of spiritual philosophy on ascension, on the dimensions we have, and why things are the way they are on Earth, how we create our reality, how to use the information once you discover the truth, absolute truth of your life, how to use that information to move forward in life. We talk about that. A lot of it is it's full of interpretations and methodology, but there's enough glue around the edges of how to use it there as well to give some guidance, because it's quite tricky putting something like this, which is normally a live reading, one-on-one reading, into a book. But my team said we want to reach a lot of people and keep it affordable, which is why we wrote the book, because not everyone can afford to come for a live reading, but they can afford a $15, $20 book.
Yes.
So it seems to be getting cheaper on Amazon, looking at it recently, but it means more people can get hold of it.
Yeah, it's at $19.95 right now on paperback.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you do want the book, guys, get the paperback copy. Don't get the Kindle, okay, or electronic version, simply because you're going to want to flick backwards and forwards a lot to work out your chart. And people with Kindle said it gets annoying after a while to do that. So they said I bought the paperback anyway. So just go straight to the paperback copy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use it a lot once you get into it. So.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So do you want to go ahead and start with the reading?
Yeah. So let's get into that. I'm just getting the chart up. So I just click on share at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. So share screen. Okay. I just need to find screen 2, I think. If it'll let me.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, I can't see it yet.
Let's see what this is.
No, I think I've shared the wrong thing. How do I unshare this thing? It's gone off to infinity. I picked the wrong screen. How do I stop sharing?
There we go.
I can see it's at the top. Okay. Let me do that again.
Okay.
So share screen.
And Trixie was asking if if she has seen you somewhere else. Yes, Trixie, I did a video with Nicolas David about, and he was an Arcturian walk-in. So I have another video of him before this one, where I interviewed him about his session with me and the information we found. So that was really interesting. He's also been in Gaia.com in Open Minds. So you can see him there. He had, I think, 3 or 4 videos there, maybe 5. I don't remember.
There are 4 of them. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm just going to move us. Oh, okay, that's good. You can see that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I draw on this thing? Can I have a pen? How do I do that?
Do what?
Can I draw on this to point at things?
Use your mouse.
Can you see that? I'm drawing on it now. I might just move you over to the other screen here. Okay. Okay, can you see my mouse? Can you see my mouse now?
Nope.
Drawing on it?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Is it moving around? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So I can't see you fully because you're on the other screen there, but only at the corner of my eye. So, okay. So what we've done here is that we've turned Elisa's Spanish name in written Spanish. We've turned it into written English as it's pronounced. So what happens with this work is that there's a translation matrix from written English as it's pronounced into Hebrew sounds. So we have to turn Spanish into written English as it's pronounced, then into Hebrew, which is why it looks a bit strange here. Okay, so do you want to say that name in Spanish, Elisa, so people know how it sounds?
Elisa del Carmen Herrera.
Yeah, so this is the closest we can get in English to match that name. And then what we do is that the software matches it to the equivalent Hebrew sound you can see below it. You notice some sounds like AH has one single Hebrew sound. We've got one here, here, and here. And then we have 22 Hebrew sounds which contain channelings from the soul of Moses and what they mean. And in Hebrew, numbers and letters are the same sound, same symbol. So this is where it's different for those of you familiar with numerology, conventional numerology. And then in that case, you normally assign numbers to the English alphabet. In this case, the numbers are inherent within the Hebrew. Okay, this is why this is quite different. Okay, so what you understand about conventional numerology with the numbers doesn't apply here because we just use these English numbers, but they actually mean Hebrew frequencies. Okay, it's just a different way of looking at things. So in order to come to Earth, you need to go through this gateway of consciousness. You need to bring specific energies in that qualify for the band of experience that we have on Earth. Because Earth is a school of learning, and we come to different planets for different periods of time to learn. And on Earth, we normally come here about 48 to 72 times to experience this very vast range of energies we have here on this planet. It has a much greater range of emotions than the average planet, which is why it's very popular, apparently, for learning. So, in this Star of David, we have a large downward pointing triangle, and this represents the physical side of life, because you as Elisa del Carmen Herrera are a brand new personality expression of the soul. You've not existed before. The ego personality is brand new each lifetime. The soul is eternal, and it goes through many incarnations, but with different personalities each time. So you and I are brand new as personalities this time. We have not actually had past lives personally, but our soul has, and we have access to them. So I just want to make that distinction. So the physical triangle is operating simultaneously with the spiritual triangle, but it's more predominant initially in the first years because we need to learn to walk and talk, get conditioned responses, get up and running in life, careers, relationships, kids. That's what we spend the first 5 cycles or 7 years. We work in 7-year cycles with the system doing. Then between the ages of 35 and 42 or younger, the spiritual triangle starts to become more predominant, which means we are awakening spiritually and starting to search for our mission So when did you wake up spiritually, Elisa? It was younger than 35, I think, wasn't it?
No, actually, I didn't wake up till 2012.
Okay, so 10 years ago, so you were 42.
So 42.
Okay, so you're the sixth cycle between 35 and 42, which you're at the end of, is when people usually wake up. So you wake up at the end of the sixth cycle.
Yeah,
So
I guess I was late.
What were you doing prior? No, you're still in range. So what were you doing prior to what you're doing now?
I was a project manager. I was managing people in a call center, a technical call center.
Okay, so quite different now to quantum
Yes.
hypnosis. Yeah. Okay, so basically, how did you feel as you woke up? What was the trigger? What were you searching for? What were you experiencing in comparison to the way your everyday life had been working up to that stage?
Well, it started with a book that I saw on People magazine that I used to read back then, called the Afterlife of Billy Fingers, and it was about this woman that had met a psychic who was talking to her brother, and this woman was an actress in Hollywood, and she started talking to her brother, and after I got into that, and then I read another book, and then that book took me to a website, and that website then started talking about Dolores Cannon. Once I read Dolores Cannon, I went and got a past life regression, and then I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Because originally I wanted to be a psychic medium, and I tried to certify myself as one, but when it's not something you have native to you, like you're born just seeing ghosts and hearing things, it's a lot more difficult to develop those gifts. So when I saw what this quantum hypnosis was, that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. But really, what really got me out of the corporate rat race is I started seeing that the system was designed as a slavery system.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like it was slavery, like they weren't giving me a raise every year, but the benefits would cost more and more and more. So in essence, I was almost paying them to work for them. And that's when I realized, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
It was a big awakening then to the mission.
Yes.
Yeah. So what the soul is hoping is that this triangle will fully activate and build on the foundation of the physical triangle, and you get on with the real mission. And everything prior to that wasn't a waste of time. It was actually training. In fact, every experience is a training for what's going to happen next, even though we may not use it straight away. So in the large downward pointing triangle, why did you feel some things were a waste of time?
Of course.
Yeah, we all do. So, yeah. So what things did you feel were a waste of time, just out of interest, because it might come up as I go through this?
Just going through the pure agony of the last 6 years in corporate America.
Yeah.
That was just like nails on a chalkboard for me. And of course, because we create our reality, and and the more I hated the job, the worse it got, right? Because the universe is like, well, yeah, you hate this job. I'm giving you more reasons to hate this job.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last 6 years before I said, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah. So what happens here is that I can see it's here in physical karma, that very issue, but I'll explain what that means first. So in each triangle, there's three aspects. There's karma, talents, and goals. And karma is a set of unresolved past life issues that we bring in this time to create the negative context of our life. So as I said earlier, create everything we don't like nails on the chalkboard in the corporate world in America. So you get excuse me, so you get clear what you do want. So the karma triggers from the time we're born, then the latent talents down here activate to transmute the karma. And if they're a good match, you get through your karma more quickly and it's transmuted. And eventually, if you work at it consciously, it becomes your gift of service to the world. We all have a gift of service. And as these talents get stronger, that helps us move towards our physical goals and what excites us about life, what gets us out of bed in the morning. So the energy flows from karma to talents to goals in the physical, and spiritual karma to spiritual talents to spiritual goals. And the answer to the question that light workers have of what's my real purpose is lying especially in the spiritual triangle. So transmuting the negative context of the spiritual karma opens us up to higher consciousness in a very specific way to deliver our gift. These talents are a means of expressing and getting the gift out there because it overcomes us. And as they get stronger, that helps us get to the spiritual goals. And if we consciously work on all these 6 outer aspects around here, that starts to manifest our soul destiny, the answer we all seek from the time we start to wake up. What's my real purpose here? We call it soul destiny here. And so in understanding what these 6 outer aspects are and consciously working with them, we get to this a lot quicker than by the random approach, which we all used prior to having this sort of knowledge. So what do we do with the numbers? We take these numbers here at the top, we start allocating them from physical karmic aspect around the Star of David till we use them all up, and then what we do is we add them up. So here we have 2 plus 8. Sorry, I don't have a pen here on the system. So 2 plus 8, we have to add it up, reduce it to the first number between 1 and 22, because we only have 22 interpretations. 20 2 plus 8 equals 10. Then we reduce this to the smallest number. 1 plus 0 equals 1. So we have a 10, 1 here. And so we have a range of frequencies from a pure 10 to a pure 1 that you're experiencing physical karma here. And these are not mathematical numbers. These are labels for Hebrew frequencies. So you'll go through the negative expression of a 10-1 till you transmuted it. And in the case of spiritual karma, the total is 70. So 7 plus 0 equals 7. And because it's a single digit number, 7 plus nothing is another 7. So let's have what's called a double number rather than a combination number here, which has 2 numbers. So this is saying there's only one frequency in the 7 you're here to learn from, whereas there's 2 frequencies here, and you're on a continuum with these frequencies between the 10 and the 1, and you'll explore that entire range throughout your entire life. So we work out all the other numbers accordingly. Take the physical numbers here and place them on the top half of this table. Spiritual numbers on the bottom half. Add them up, the 2 columns, we get 60 on the left-hand column, 24 on the right-hand column.
Is there any way to zoom it, Nicolas David?
I will try.
Yeah, try and see real quick, because I can't see the table at all.
How's that?
There we go.
Okay, so we add up the numbers, get the 60 on the left, 24 on the right, and we reduce the 60 to the first number between 1 and 22. So 6 plus 0 is 6, 2 plus 4 is 6. We pop that in the middle in the soul destiny there. Okay, and then we have what's called a dominant vibration. That happens when you have 4 or more of the same number in any of the 7 aspects. In this case, we've got 4 6s. The 6 would go there. You can have up to 3 dominant vibrations here. Okay, so that's the maths. Okay, and so then we have all these channel symbols that Frank brought through that are like portals, really, for tell me what I need to tell you. So the best way to do this, Alisa, is to ask you, what is the big question you want to ask about yourself now, at this stage of your life? And I'll use that as a gateway to explain what the chart means.
I would say if I've cleared my karma. That's what comes to mind.
If you had, you wouldn't be here. You would have ascended.
Oh, okay. Dang. So there's more stuff I have to work on. That sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So then how do I find what I need to work on?
Okay, let's talk about that. So this is corporate America here. This is the divine masculine, but it's in karma. So this is the misuse of masculine power, which you were up against, especially in the last 6 years. Does that sound about right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
So this is where the divine masculine, and it's in a karmic position, is the masculine out of integrity, being unstable, not acting in service to others, misusing power, greed and avarice. You're facing all that sort of stuff, misuse of money and things like that. You just talked about that. You had to pay for your benefits, for example.
Oh yeah, it was total. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening here is that you're here to heal the wound with the divine masculine aspect of God. So you were born feel separate from the divine masculine aspect of God. It turned up in your corporate job. And the idea is to heal that and reconnect to the positive energies of the divine masculine, which is unity, power, and stability. And overall, the 10-1 is about being of service to humanity, which is what you're doing now. Okay. And the 10 here represents, this is basically God consciousness coming through. Okay, it's the divine manifest embodied. So it's about bringing the balanced male female energies of God into you to share it with others in service, which I'd say you're probably doing now with the work you're doing compared to running a call center. Yeah. So using all the spiritual energies to be of service and coming into your power. So we were talking about how relationships earlier. So in your early relationships, did you have men who disempowered you or weren't present, or how did that happen? What happened there?
My dad was he's like a screamer. Like he would talk to you screaming. He was so loving, but just would compare me to my sister and say, like, would tell my sister I was smarter than my sister, but would tell my sister she was prettier than me, like just that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's disempowerment by the masculine.
Yeah.
So you created him to be that, so you could.
Yes, I'm sure.
He represented the disconnect from the divine, the Father God, which ego chose. That's what our parents are. They're the face of Mother, Father, God, and the way our ego feels separate, which is why they have the biggest impact, because we want them to love us unconditionally.
Yes.
And by working through all the issues and traumas around that, that's how we connect to Father God in this case again.
Yeah.
Okay, that's their purpose. So, and we can manifest that in our relationships as well. So did that happen? Similar sort of masculine figure in early relationships?
In my relationships, yeah, but not in the drastic way, because I had my stepfather was amazing. So he kind of balanced it. My stepfather balanced my dad. Yeah. So in my marriage, it was indirectly. I didn't realize it until I left the marriage, that then I realized, oh crap, he was kind of controlling me, but I had not even, it was indirect. It wasn't in a way that I could catch on.
Yeah. This sort of stuff sneaks up on you. So,
yeah.
Because if you saw it immediately, you wouldn't have engaged. You would have said, oh, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was all about learning to reconnect to Father God. But fortunately, in physical talents, you have the positive elements, which is the unity, power, and stability of Archangel Michael, the masculine aspect of God, the balanced male, female energies of God coming here to serve. And this disseminates healing and knowledge. And so you're here to use your spiritual abilities in pure service. Would you say you're doing that now?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing that until a month ago, and now it's like it's a new phase in my life that I'm moving on to do what is my happiness and joy, which is do spiritual stuff, but more like travel related.
Okay. Oh, so you're not doing sessions anymore, you said earlier, I think.
No, I am doing life coaching sessions because they're short and I enjoy those immensely. So yeah, and then my plan is to do more YouTube videos to help people, to bring people like you to them so that they can grow and yeah, because it's the one-on-one that I was like, I'm not helping people fast enough. Like I felt like I need to do the group thing, to make people grow faster and heal faster.
Yeah, well, the group things here in spiritual karma, I'll jump over to that. So you're really here to heal the wounded heart. There's two parts of you. I'm going to zoom this up again.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. So there's a wounded heart. So would you say your heart got broken by your father?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a wounded heart, and there's an inner child who hid away, so she wouldn't be seen as bad or be rejected again.
Yep.
And then this is a facade. She puts a mask out, a public face out there saying, look at this, but don't look at the real me.
Mm-hmm.
Sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the idea here with this energy is to heal the wounded heart, drop the facade, and express how you truly feel and think. Because then what happens is, as the heart opens, that magnetizes you lots of like-minded people to build that group, that network, to reach a lot more people. You've already done it already, reached a lot of people, but you reach even more as you progress with whatever heart healing you've still got left. How's that going?
Well, yesterday was a big day. And I think I released a lot of stuff yesterday. So I'm getting there with the help of some things.
Yeah. So the more you let go, the more you show your true self, you suddenly realize, actually, it's quite safe to show my true self, which is the opposite of what the program thinks. The program thinks if I show my real self, I can get hurt again. But actually, it's about being the authentic self, and then everyone around you has to open their heart and be their authentic selves, or leave the space, because that love frequency is much higher frequency than the judgment which most people have of themselves and of each other.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that will draw those people to you. Okay, so that's the key thing. This is working with a lot of people. So back to this one here. So I'll just zoom this down a little bit so we can see the top of the star. So that physical talent is perfect to overcome the physical karma, because it's the positive energy overcomes the negative energy, which is why you woke up spiritually, and then things have sort of taken off since then, haven't they? Once you broke through enough of this, you left the corporate world to claim your power back, and then you were working for yourself, which is a lot more empowering and more being this is about being a sovereign, basically, is the point I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Okay. And as that's got stronger, that helps you get to this physical goal. So do you have a lot of creative ideas, Elisa?
I think I do.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm getting more and more creative, especially when I meditate or I'm in the shower. That's when I get like so many ideas.
Yeah. So this is all about taking an idea that's true to you. I'm going to zoom this guy up again. Okay. And taking an idea that's true to you. This is called a convertible knot. And taking that idea that's really true, you resonate with, and turning it in step by step into a physical reality. So this is the process of creativity and action. And in your case, this is in goals. It's still a partial lesson, not like a teaching version of a karmic version of this. You need to reconnect to the soul's creativity and allow it to manifest in the world, and not get unfocused and scattered with all the ideas, but pick the one that opens your heart the most and take it step by step to completion. And once you've done that once, the next idea will be easier for you. Okay, so there's not enough time in this lifetime to do them all. But if you try and do that, you get scattered in all sorts of directions and get really frustrated. Sound about right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm having a hard time getting getting started with it.
Yeah, well, the reason for this is because this 6 here needs guaranteed success, or you won't start. So what you got to do is break it down to small steps and do one little step at a time. Okay.
Okay.
one little step at a time. Don't try and make a big leap forward, otherwise you're just gonna feel like I can't start. It's too much. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then, but the most important thing is stay focused and complete. Don't get distracted by all the other 10 million good ideas that turn up in the meantime. Just write them down. Tell the ego, I'll get back to it later, but you know you probably won't unless they're really good.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we talked about spiritual karma, opening the heart and drawing lots of people to you who are like-minded, who are really resonant with what you do. And then the spiritual talents are all about reflected being, the 14. And the 5 is about pure psychic energy. This is the psychic part of you. This is why you can really attune to someone when you were doing the quantum hypnosis sessions. So you're not doing them anymore, those sessions. So you're not doing quantum hypnosis anymore.
No.
Okay, I got in just in time then. So here, this is all about having intense relationships with people to learn who you are, and so they can learn who they are. It's about emotional reflection. Does that resonate? You need to be in relationship. Yeah, you learn from all sorts of people, not just love relationships, but from everybody around you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's sort of the motto will be, I relate, therefore I am. Without enough people around you, you won't know who you are with this. And the 5 is about, can you tell when someone's not telling you the truth? You got a very fine sense of what's true and not true.
I didn't used to. I think I do now, but back in the day, I trusted everybody who came to me.
Yeah. And how did that work out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very good.
Yeah. So this is basically a truth detector or a lie detector. And so it's the most subtle, sensitive psychic energy here. So which is why you wanted to be a psychic reader, medium. You would have been really good at it, but you were using it to tune into people doing the quantum hypnosis regression sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is about being a pioneer as well, doing very cutting edge sort of work. So as you expand to this new version of you, it's down the cutting edge. Go to the limit. Okay. I think our last show was one of those. We went right to the limit there, didn't we? So just exploring new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this one here helps you step out there and speak the truth, whereas this one here is you hiding away. So it helps you show yourself. It's about speech and emphasis. Okay. Whereas this wants to hold back and hide away. Now, the spiritual goals is a 13-4, which is the divine feminine aspect of God. So how's your relationship with the mom?
Really good.
Yeah. Has it been like that all the time? From the
Yeah,
beginning?
we were best friends when I was little.
Okay.
Or younger.
Yeah, so this can be the separation from the mother, or learning to be a good mother, or good, creative, positive, feminine energy to look after others. So what would you say that is? It can be several different things depending on what the soul is.
So I'm going to, I know I could have been a better mother. I was an only child, so and my mom always told me she didn't have to do much with me because I did everything. I was the perfect child. So I didn't know how to be a mother. I always felt kind of inadequate as a mother.
Okay. How many kids did you have?
3.
Okay. So have they all left home, or are they still with you?
The oldest lives with me, and then the other 2 come and go between their dad and me.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah. So this is about the issue is learn to take care of them unconditionally. Okay.
Okay.
Because as an only child, we can get a little selfish here sometimes when we're younger. So this is about learning to share the divine feminine mothering energies. That's why you had 3. Okay. So you could share unconditionally and come into the divine feminine energy to share with them no matter what they needed. And to love them unconditionally. That was a lesson.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's all about looking after a lot of other people because you got your training with the kids. Now it's about looking after others with your work, taking care of them.
That's what it feels like. That's why I feel like I have to create these videos. Like I have to provide this information for everybody else.
Yeah. So this is sharing knowledge. 4 is about the flow of knowledge, ideas, love, the flow of nature, money. This is about sharing knowledge that feels right in the water and wisdom of the divine feminine heart.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gone from disempowerment by the masculine with your father and in the corporate world to the using the gift of the feminine, divine feminine, to look after others. So you've gone the whole range from this is the masculine aspect of God, this is the feminine aspect of God. So you're bridging 2 very powerful numbers here with that.
Okay.
And the soul destiny is 6/6 is saying there's something very specific you're here to do in this life, very focused in terms of the way you creatively express yourself. Okay, do you know what that is yet?
I think I do. I am supposed to lead the way.
Yeah. Your 5 is stepping out first and saying your truth. Okay, very much saying the truth here. Yeah, I would say you're here to help people discover who they really are. This is what this is about. The reflection shows them who they are, and they won't know until they've had their face in this multidimensional mirror. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in summary, you're here to come into your power in the masculine and trust in God consciousness, embody it through you to serve humanity in a very creative way with an open heart and magnetizing like-minded people to you so they learn who they are through being reflected in you and to love them unconditionally. That's the mission in one long sentence.
Wow.
Okay, that's what you're here to do.
Wow. Yeah. And I literally knew, I would say 80% of that.
Yeah.
I didn't know the masculine and the feminine thing and that. Yeah.
That's about finding the balance between the masculine and feminine. And that usually, they can often lead to separations in early relationships simply because the masculine will be disempowering, which can lead to the separation, but it requires setting a boundary with the masculine in order to come into your power.
Wow.
Doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, but it's going to be a challenge. Setting a boundary with the masculine, line in the sand. Otherwise, it keeps coming at you.
Okay, so empowering myself
to be fully in your power as a woman
with the masculine.
With the masculine, it's going to come at you and try and push on your boundaries until you say, this is the line, do not cross. And once you come into enough of that power, then it stops.
Ah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I had to do for the divorce.
Yeah.
I had to put the line there and say, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so nothing went wrong. Nothing went wrong with that. It was just part of the major lesson for you.
Yes.
To draw a line. This was meant to happen.
Yes.
Probably inevitable in this case, looking at this chart.
Mm-hmm.
We all think, I've had one divorce. We all think we failed, but actually what matters the most is the lessons you got from it. Did you come into your power? Sounds like you did.
So big time.
You got the lesson. That was the whole point of it.
Yeah, big time. And I had to do it also with a female as well later on.
Well, this is here. What happened there? This is about coming to power relative to the feminine.
I was betrayed by someone that I came very close to. And it took me a while to see it because I was in a lot of pain. But in the end, I decided to cut all ties and really step away from it and just say, here, you can have it all. I'm done. Like, just have it all. And that's it, because I just didn't want to have that relationship anymore.
Well,
I don't want to feel shitty anymore.
yeah, you're gonna have a betrayal. There's going to be a core wound we all have for our key patterns. So core wound with the masculine, core wound with the feminine, and it's about, and they can be very deep and seemingly feel like we're never going to recover from it. But that's the formative learning of our life, and that was agreed with the two souls.
Yes, I know that. I know
Husband
that.
and father,
Oh my
and
God.
that woman who betrayed you. They do it out of love, even though it seems pretty warped from our perspective. But
Yep.
it's a pre-incarnational agreement, so you can get that lesson.
Yes,
Although
absolutely.
it can take a long time to recover, but that's actually the point of it.
Yeah.
That was the main reason for those relationships.
Yes.
And we play different roles in different lifetimes. It'll be reversed another time. See?
Yeah. Absolutely. But now that I have put my foot down with that, does that mean it will repeat, or like I learn my lesson and it won't happen again?
If the soul feels you've learnt enough of the lesson, it won't repeat. If it feels you need a bit more, you might get another dose, but probably in a different variation. Okay, usually the first dose is the strongest and the most shocking. Okay, but it depends how quick a learner you are.
Yeah, I'm a really fast learner, like super fast.
Yeah, so only the soul can tell. Yeah, but if you've learnt enough, it'll leave it be and just move into the positive qualities of caring for others and being of service with spiritual energy.
Yeah, yeah, and the way that I reacted to it too was very much like when I kind of cut it off. The last email I sent was, "Thank you for the lesson. You have been my biggest teacher," and and that was it. I just kind of left it at that. So
Yeah.
I don't harbor any ill feelings towards her.
Yeah, well then you've probably got it. But if you hang on to it, then it might happen again because you hadn't forgiven, you hadn't got the full lesson of it.
Yeah, no, now if I see her, it doesn't hurt. It's almost like I don't know her. It's so weird. It's like if I see her now, it's like I don't even know her. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, she was playing that particular role. Once the role was over, then you're done. The contract between you is completed.
Mm-hmm.
So it can seem like a different person.
Yeah,
She was
that's
just
exactly.
doing what you guys at a soul level agreed to do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more about the heart thing, because I have been working a lot on this. And I don't know what else I need to do.
So what have you been doing on it? What sort of things? What sort of healing processes or?
I've been doing a lot of work as far as going back and healing the baby, the child that was abandoned, by my mother for 6 months while she went and got a house in a different country. So then she came back and she kidnapped me from my dad. Anyway, so healing from whatever happened. I mean, I don't remember my early childhood at all. So it's kind of hard to heal something that you can't go back to. But anyway, going back, talking to that little girl, telling her I love her, telling her everything's okay, telling her that this is all happening for her growth and that she's going to be okay. And so trying to go back and giving her confidence and love and just trying to heal everything about her. And
Okay. You made a good start there. That's a good place to go.
Yeah.
I would say look at the main causal factor for this is the disempowerment by your father, the way he was shouting at you all the time, which will be quite traumatic. Clear the trauma, whatever trauma is still in your body, because you're hypersensitive looking at this here. So you take on empathy, you take on a lot of the imprints very deeply, what happened with your father, but also your mother being kidnapping you and all the things that went on. So I'd work on the trauma with the father, trauma with the mother, because that's actually what triggers the broken heart. So you got to look at the causal factors to these two.
But I have forgiven them, both of them, for what they did. So it's like I don't know where else to go with it.
Yeah, well, this is any remaining trauma in the nervous system, the vagus nerve, especially in the limbic system in the brain. Things you consciously forgave them, but it's not about that. That's important, but it's whatever trauma is actually physiologically stored in your body, which you cannot access through the mind.
So how do I get there?
You need a trauma specialist of some sort, EMDR, somatic experiencing. Okay, there's a few different therapies out there. You've got to find something that works for you. That's the key, because it'll bring up deeply hidden, buried stuff, which is part of what created the broken heart. And if you can get all that out, then that'll help you move towards completion on this. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've done a lot of work, but it's about just going deeper to make sure it's all out. Because these are, these are very powerful. They're called mother letters. They're very powerful numbers. So it takes a lot to get them cleaned out, fully healed. Heal these guys first, then that'll heal. Okay. All the remaining parts of this will heal.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a website called traumahealing.org. I think it is. It's a somatic experiencing website.
Okay.
Okay. And you can search up EMDR online. It uses eye movement to access the circuits in the brains which are carrying the trauma, because we react in different ways.
Do you know if tuning forks would help, like sound healing?
Sound healing may help. I mean, it's important with this sort of work because everyone's built differently in the way they take on all this stuff, is to go with what feels right to you in the end. If you're drawn to certain things, sounds very powerful, it may be the way to go for you. Basically, you've got to go try some things and see what happens. And if it works, do more of it. Especially if you obviously you got to like the therapy. So just try some of it on and see what happens. Okay. Because you don't know how you're going to react. It's beyond the mind. It's very much a pre-verbal, unconscious, deeply buried thing in the system. Okay. All right. Whew. Anything else? Is that enough for today in terms of the chart? Or you got any more questions?
Yeah, the only other question I have, and that is, tell me about how the name, how to get the name, the real name, if the name is correct or not.
What do you mean by the real name, if it's correct? Just say a bit more about that.
So the name, like, for example, how you come up with a new name, like the name of the person might not be the right name for that soul.
99% of the time, the name that you have is correct, because you at a soul level design it and telepath to the parents. You telepath to your parents, and usually, you know how parents usually have 2 or 3 names they want to call their kids. It's because of the soul of the baby's telling them that telepathically.
Oh.
So the parents aren't actually making the name up. They've been told what the name is, but they just don't realize it.
Okay.
But they're given the illusion of free will choice. So any one of the 3 names would have done the job. Okay. So the soul's really driving it. I mean, you think about when you name your kids, you're only probably a few you thought of that would actually work.
Yeah. I feel like my name is the right name, just because it means, it, like, I'm from the planet Era, and my last name has Era in it. So it's like Elisa means light, and light of Era, or, so I felt like my name was the right name. But
yeah, it definitely fits with what you've just said. So most people have the right name.
Okay.
But
if my name wasn't the right name, then in this reading, you would have told me that my right name is something else.
We would have seen there'll be a mismatch between the experience you have. It would feel like very uncomfortable, the experience, not a learning, but almost like a torture like it's not fitting me the way this life has turned out. Because I
Okay.
want to go and do something else, and it's not in the numbers. That's how you tell. I've had a few people like that where their name just didn't fit.
Okay.
Because
So
the parents got it wrong
right.
as far as the soul's concerned.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. So if I needed the right name, you would have told me today then.
Yeah. Well, what happens here is that if it didn't fit, I'd tell you, but most people's names fit.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we have another piece of work that we developed for this is where it's called name optimization. It's where someone on the spiritual path wants to accelerate the process. In each of us, there's an optimal name that will help us work through all the issues we've been just talking about here much faster and manifest our mission, okay, much more quickly. And some people get drawn to that process because it's about connecting where the soul wants to go. And an optimal name can completely change your life into a brand new life. You know, optimized my name from Nicolas David Ngan to Nicolas David Ngan in about 2006.
Right.
And what happened there was, I'll stop sharing as well. What happened there, I will move this over so I can see you. And that was the beginning of creating the life I have now, because it was more about moving through trauma to moving towards love and drawing the right people and reaching a lot of people. So it was a different life since then, actually. It takes a couple of years to cut in, or more than up to 7 years, but I'd say since then, 16 years later, my life's completely different in terms of reaching the right sort of people, being a lot happier, probably working too hard as usual.
Yeah.
As a lot of us do in this field. But really feeling like I can make a difference and send more love into the world. So that's another process of growth. And some people get drawn to it.
Yeah.
And it's like a piece of marble. You carve it, and a piece of beautiful David comes out, made by Michelangelo. It's in us somewhere. So it's another process for accelerating our growth, really, in addition to normal healing processes.
Yeah, that's
They're
fantastic.
very used to the name is creating a whole new energy in us that's radiating out to the matrix, creating a different reality, but it's also transforming they're designed by the soul to transform all our karma, bring our talents online, help us get to our goals, help us get to our soul destiny or life purpose much more gracefully and easily. But it will bring up a lot of emotional issues in order to get there. But the end result is a more fulfilling life.
Wow.
So that's what comes out.
Beautiful. Well, this has been fantastic. I am so grateful. Next time that we're going to meet, we're going to talk about the children. And you have a show on Gaia on Open Minds. You were interviewed about this also. So if people want to go on there as well and watch that, it's there. And so I'm looking forward to our next conversation about the children. And is there anything else you want to say before we close?
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for bearing your soul there, literally. And
yeah, I'm an open book.
Yeah. So if you want to find out more about the work, it's centerforconsciousascension.net, center with an ER.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about your other websites too, because they wanted us to say. I'll probably type them in here as well.
Yeah.
So
to access the book portal on the website is yoursoulcontractdecoded.com. And if you want to generate your free chart, it's soulcontractreader.com. And that'll give you all the resources. Those 3 links will give you all the resources you need to explore this work yourself and find out who you really are and what you're really here to do and how to get on with it.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody, if you haven't done this, please go and get it done. I'm here to help you heal. And the faster you heal, the faster we all heal. So It's time for you to get to your exciting life that's waiting for you. It's magical once you get to this point. So I can't imagine how more magical it's going to be the more I heal. So I just can't wait. It's very exciting. So Nicolas David, thank you so much. I am so grateful. And thank you, everybody else who was here, everybody who watches the video. Thank you. Please share if you think this will help someone else. Again, the goal for Nicolas and me is to help others as fast as we can to heal and to get with their life mission and their life purpose and start living the life that they're here to live. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. And we'll see you later on this afternoon when I talk to Zoe at 3 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.